Tram Niraling Shilindegam Vadi Sangha Shindu Vitevarhi Droken Namda Shimajiparsho Idam Duratnamandalakam Niyatayami Sangi Shriyan Zoki Shodnamna Janshu Bardu Dami Gasuchi Dagi Jinyen Gipe Sanam Ki Drola Panchir Sangha Jibasho Sangi Shriyan Sohi Shabnamna Janshu Vardu Datmi Gasuchi Dagi Jinyen Gipe Sanam Ki Drola Panchir Sangha Jriparsho Sangi Shriyan Sohi Shabnamna Janshu Vardu Datmi Gasuchi Dagi Jinyen Gipe Sanam Ki Drola Panchir Sangha Jriparsho. So let's take a comfortably seated position. We'll do a short meditation to get us going. I like it when you close your eyes and then you open your eyes and then angels pop up. Hi. And Rachel. That was me being me. That was me being me.
I thought the other Rachel was here too. I thought you were.
I was dividing the Rachel. Not that sophisticated. Okay.
Why is that funny?
Because. Okay. Ready for a meditation on bodhicitta? Let's try that. Yeah. Since we're on the Bodhisattva Charya Avatar. Just see if you've got a really good solid meditation practice and you can get in your zone, go for it. If you don't, if you're like me and are forever fighting your mind to try and get in there, try something new as if it's a brand new time, first time you're meditating, and see if you can discover the things that you take for granted about your breath, about your posture, and then just your mind. Don't fight it, just watch the courser. Watch it, slap it out a little bit, and then just, you're not it, okay? You're not all those thoughts and all the resistance and all that. Just disconnect and watch what happens as we do this meditation. So get all your noises and your sniffles and your things out of the way. Park the body as if you're going on vacation at the airport. You're leaving it behind. So do a quick scan of your body and your posture until you're set, you're comfortable, and you can leave it there. Relax any tension, spine straight, face relaxed. And if you were a brand new entity observing the sensation of the breath on this thing you call your body, just be fascinated with it, totally engage with just the breath, this thing that is inhale and exhale, and whatever it does. So long as you're on the breath, you're on the object, that's all you need to do. In and out. Do a few rounds of that. See if you can go a little deeper, still on the breath. See if you can catch the things you call the breath. It could either be the movement, the sensation. Go behind the thing you call the breath. What are those instances? You can do this in terms of exhale. Feel the pause between the exhale and the inhale and then back. But let your mind maneuver itself around that thing you call breath. Breath. It's okay if you toggle between the sensation and the conception. If your mind wandered anytime during this meditation, use that for your meditation by catching the boundary between what you call breath and what you call wandering. So catch whatever wandering you had and see at what point it changed from your mind focused on breath to it not being breath. And then slice that space in two and see if you can look for the actual flip over moment. If your mind is on the breath or looking for the flip between breath and distraction from breath, you're still on the object, so keep cycling through those experiences and see if you can find it. Just return to your normal breath now, just watching the inhale and exhale. Find your deepest motivation for meditating and being in this class. Get a clear idea of what brings you here. Then invite your teacher to come and instantly fill the space in front of you with them and everything they bring. Their insight, their compassion, their history, their scent, their inertia. Joy. See if you can feel safe, really completely safe, like in somebody else's beautiful hands. Do some kind of reverence, either prostrations, or think of the highest quality you see in them and honor them. Make them offerings. Imagine they actually feel it right now. See if you can reveal to them any obstacles that you have, any things in your mind that you regret. Imagine that with special vision you can see these obstacles as actual physical things around you or inside of you, and that by seeing them you're able to then work with them. Generate a wish to remove them for the sake of reaching enlightenment and helping others get there. Now scan your entire mind for every goodness that comes to mind, every goodness that you've ever done. Every time you've taken care of another, forgetting yourself. Could be your family or children, could be strangers. Anytime you've made effort towards helping other people get happy or get what they want or avoid suffering, anything at all. bring it to mind and offer it to them like a sand mandala in front of you, made of gold. Every tiny intention to want to improve. Fill up this offering in front of you, mountain it up. Watch it sparkle every instant, a grain of gold. Add some diamonds to and think of every person you know who's done goodnesses in their world and have an offering like yours in front of them. Imagine all of them together. Joy and goodness. And offer it to your teachers. Just give it away for the sake of others. May it serve every being to enlightenment. Feel happy to give it away. Certain it would serve others. And then ask your teacher to please continue to teach you always. And ask them to stay close and watch them begin to rise up and turn, facing the same direction you're facing, getting smaller and brighter until they rest at the crown of your head. Really feel them there, instantly available to you whenever you need. Wisdom, insight, compassion, patience. And when you're ready, you come back to the room. Cool. Emily, I have a present for you. These are today's quiz from last class. And I think I did it right. Is that quiz 8?
Yeah.
And class 9 homework for today's class. Yeah. And some spare. Steve, can you get me a pair of scissors? Who got me that?
Wasn't me.
Wasn't you? I'm very happy for it. I see, that's very nice. What's going on, folks? Thank you. It's so funny, I've been thinking about flowers and rituals.
Look what you made.
Yeah, thanks. Walter, can you help me for a sec?
Thanks, Bob.
Those that finish their homework first get to help with Javier's wedding cords, okay? Well, this weekend's wedding. Can I get your wrist? I just want to make sure it's the right thing. Is that from your wedding?
Indeed it is.
Go check that out.
You have the papers?
Oh, yeah.
Time. Show your character
Chris
members.
Can we cut there?
And,
Fuzzy beard. Said a lot of stuff.
Sounds like a year ago to me. That right? So, you know, I think it might need to be longer, right?
Maybe it's a tiny bit longer. Yeah, it's gonna be hard for you to cut that.
you can start it, did you know that? You can start it?
There, maybe?
Here. Here. That's what I think.
Go.
Oh, back in here.
But,
Yeah, that's much better. Yeah. You try and make this out of you.
first. Good point.
Does that work or not?
Longer.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you were not here, help the persons that wasn't here. That was here.
I was here, but I don't remember so much.
Patrick, how was your
I think this gives people space.
How was my
trip?
intense?
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't find a hotel, you had to stay in tents?
I
I get it.
You get the joke, Paul? Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
do a lot of word jokes myself, so I call it.
Damn it. There was going to be a surprise.
Number one is because
Yeah.
as our hand is no different to our body, so is
Are you doing number 1 for 8 or for 7?
9?
No, 9 is, we haven't taught 9 yet.
Well, why do I know the answer?
I don't know.
Maybe because I've been reading.
What method
Quiz
does
8.
Master Shantideva recommend for meditating?
Thank you, Paul, for actually paying attention.
Hector, we're trying to do
So number one.
Shh, don't pay attention to me. I thought you were meditating.
Number one, Master Shantideva describes the joys of living.
In forest.
And then urges us to Paul has all the answers, by the way.
Oh, good.
This is why we sit next to him.
It's not the only
He
reason.
sits with the back of the text, right? So,
Well, I did this already.
Yeah.
First one.
Many times.
I've done the class and you guys didn't
I have to
know,
take this.
right?
I miss Cordell.
Do you remember it?
Say hello for me.
Hello.
What method, anybody got an answer?
One method.
I can only guess, and that's not
Yes,
fair.
no,
Hello?
that's good, absolutely.
First, meditating upon this wish.
What method?
First of all, he says, go to the forest.
So,
Go to the forest.
And then the first thing you guys should think about is,
like between like the hands,
then
the
you can
hands,
suffer
the
and
palms.
Treating
You
others
go with
just
one
like
hand, this is
yourself.
how you meditate, right? Palms, but it's just projecting the separation.
Are you looking at the homework?
They are.
you should be looking at the quiz.
Oh,
You
okay.
and the other
Huh?
person.
You should be looking at the quiz,
Yeah,
because the
well,
homework
I'm
is
just
for
saying,
tonight.
like, your answer is a more correct answer.
This is Miguel, everyone.
Hey, Miguel, everyone.
So that's two.
Hello, everyone.
I just,
Other thing?
huh?
Let's see.
What did you answer? What was the first answer to that?
This is
What was the
Miguel.
first answer in the quiz?
Consider the benefits of isolation, discard irrelevant thoughts, and meditate.
Hector?
Hey, ça va?
Is that the only?
How are you?
one?
I have a new friend.
Miguel,
That's the answer.
Hey, pleasure.
Throw in some
I just
more.
noticed.
If that's what
His
we're
name
doing.
is
Hector, this is
And then
Miguel.
next
This is
is
first
our
minute
is
of the
only
tutorial.
unbearable
Is it really?
because
It's
of
trying to,
stress.
it's trying
And
to.
once we learn
Just
to
did the
others as
meditation
ourselves,
with like the star
everything
castle.
will
Oh my goodness.
It's looking so good.
Welcome. Yeah, you live here?
Yourself
Yeah.
in there.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
Why Costa Rica?
So like their pain would
Sarah?
hurt
Or
us
never
if
been.
it comes out to them.
The Caribbean area.
What
Sounds amazing.
Is not the,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
it's not
best
the
healing you can
sensation
get from
itself,
the
Actually,
ocean.
the
Just
truth.
being
project
there.
our perception.
That's stunning.
Right.
Yeah.
the answer to
It's my dream to go there
I didn't
one day.
fully
I've been
understand
talking about it
this.
with Steve.
Logic on number 2. So you can organize
Yeah.
YouTube for everyone.
Are you from there?
No, I'm from there.
Ok, so hablas español.
Sí, perfecto.
Okay. Yo nací en Argentina, pero crecí en Australia. Así que tuve que reaprender el español acá.
Pero te quedó algo de acento argentino.
Sí, che, es la única manera que me acuerdo.
Yo viví en Argentina 5 años,
¿A dónde?
en Buenos Aires,
Wow,
y en el Calafate, en el glaciar Perito Moreno.
Oh my god, I love el Calafate. What were you doing there?
I was the sommelier, el encargado de los vinos de un hotel que quedaba frente a... I was a sommelier, that's what I said.
How is the rough
But
cook?
it's, you're missing a part.
There's no
The
specific-
first part
I don't do
is
wines
the
anymore.
only 5
That's
are
awesome.
That's a fun, I didn't know you were sommelier.
Yeah, I studied that. I did that 2
So
years
in
and
the
then I
same
was
way,
on private
you
yachts.
have to
Cool.
others
And then I
there.
decided to change career. I'm like,
That's fantastic.
Maybe you should be sommelier.
you can tell them for sure.
Hey, I got your message about the landlord and I did ring him, yeah, and left him a message. I just haven't followed up with him after that. I didn't want to hassle him straight away.
No, no, no. Oh no, you can, it's good to call him right away.
Yeah, I called him like the next day.
Yeah, to make sure you know.
Yeah, so I'll call him again when I come back.
He loved you.
I don't remember.
I'd like to too. I'm gonna go marry that. You know Javier?
You're gonna get married?
I'm gonna go marry Javier. That's what this is for.
If we can treat
I don't
others as
understand.
More,
You're gonna marry,
Javier.
but you don't get married.
I get married when I marry them,
Is,
I think. But I don't know what they think. I feel if I'm giving them vows, I'm connected with them
Who are
forever.
you marrying?
You know Javier? Javier.
Yeah, of course. Javier.
And his girlfriend, fiance, Lucy. I don't think you've met Lucy. So when I come back, I'm saying I'm going to call the lawyer, the landlord again.
If I
You have to
truly
come here.
see you as myself,
And I'm curious, I just want to make sure the size is not too small. Yeah,
Where's the wedding?
in Florida,
Oh. So you fly to Florida tomorrow?
more early in the morning.
Nice.
Yeah. When did you get back from?
Thursday.
Nice.
It's been a week packing here.
Sorry.
How was that like? Really?
A lot of questions. Why are you?
Why am I here?
Why are you far away from nature? Like, why are you doing that? I mean, Costa Rica is amazing, but I could be in another place, like surrounded by the same vibration of nature.
Yeah, I understand.
And
This is a different nature. It's still nature, but
Yeah, I got. Do you have an answer to
Others
it?
is like the
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I think that this diversity offers you as well to connect to a different vibration, and also
Why you make a difference? You don't
just connect to gratefulness and to be grateful
Right,
wherever
then
you
like I
are.
feel like
Yeah.
someone
It
could
doesn't
argue
matter.
that like, well, I like
For me, it's the
seeing
people. Like,
Hitler in pain.
Yeah.
despite the artificialness of it,
You
there's
see
so
what I'm saying? Like,
much
that's not my argument.
humanity
but I
here
feel
needing
like it kind of falls flat
more
with
connection.
some-
You know,
Haven't accepted.
if you do find a little bit of green, it's like everything. You know.
Everything.
Yeah.
For clean water.
So you get gratitude too. But I'm longing to get
They would benefit from it.
But I mean, it's also
Online
choice. You
benefits.
decide how long do you want to do it. It's not that you can't help people.
Right, I get that,
from
but
the
then,
nature.
like,
No, no,
not
you
actually can
people
follow
focus
beautiful
on
surroundings.
the quality
To
of
help people to connect with
Yeah.
themselves in nature.
I'm just guessing.
No, I agree.
You know, I will answer to the question. I was walking on the street and I was thinking very strongly of Miguel. And I was thinking I would really love to introduce you too because I was thinking your same family and everyone here is your family. And at that moment, I was walking with my kid and I see Miguel on the street. Yeah, it was and I was walking with
And then he said, you have a camole. Okay, I'll follow you.
It's really good.
You know, I was thinking of Miguel. I think I really want to bring Miguel to meet you and to meet everyone. And I was thinking, should I call him? And it's
That's
back-
funny.
And at that moment, I saw you on the street.
Yeah.
You see, this is why we're in New York.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
was to achieve whatever else.
There's something going on here.
That's good. How long since you've been in New York?
3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I can feed another thing,
I came for vacation.
You
I
did?
decided to stay- Yeah. I came to visit my sister. I came with $300. She was pregnant. She was living here. At the time I got the ticket, she got transferred to Pennsylvania. And I'm like, oh, I booked a trip for 3 months to stay in Pennsylvania and away. So we're gonna follow my adventure. So I came to New York and the thing just to start working out together. I went to the yoga studio to work and he offered me to stay there and work there and I started cooking there because I'm a chef as well. So So I started speaking and doing juices,
Right.
and then I started getting clients, and then I felt like, okay, it seems there is a call here.
That's
And also just my thirst for knowledge. From Colombia, you kind of get all these kind of like
If you want it, I can
spiritual
read it again,
movement,
but I
healing,
think it's
mental
better.
separation that easy, or to go to courses that
Yeah, just seeing
often.
others
So I felt like,
just
I
for
think
the
it's a good
soul
time to
reason
stay
that
here and learn.
suffering.
Yeah, this has been an amazing trip for me too.
Yeah, and I quoted
It's like
this
a
on
great
Facebook.
university to just learn from diversity.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's nice to meet you. Do you know Jenny as well? Is it?
I don't know.
Oh,
No, I just
Well, I think I
introduced
knew
them.
them.
before, yeah.
Yes. This is Paul.
Oh.
Again.
This is Nick. I'm Nick. This is
I am
Miguel.
Nick.
He's one of the best raw food cook and yoga teacher on the planet and healer. This is my friend Nick. He's one of the best raw food cook and yoga
Miguel.
teacher.
He's Miguel, that's
no,
Nick.
Then Miguel.
But we're one at the end.
I thought you and Nick, not
We see
one.
each other as ourselves, and it doesn't matter if
It's
these
just a reflection.
The same quote.
Are you guys close to ready?
Now we're close.
Done. Hecho, finito. Okay, let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's begin.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, who wants to do something while I finish here?
Steven.
Let's go through the answers. Let's go through the answers together. The first question said, when Master Shantideva says, okay, go to the forest, then he says, what's the first thing we should be thinking about? When you begin the practice of isolation, which is the chapter on meditation that we're on, he says, after you figured out, oh my goodness, I'm in retreat, what should you be thinking about?
treat others like yourself. See others.
He says start thinking of others. He doesn't give us method yet, right? What's the answer? Yeah. Does it just bring others to mind, right? And then let's the next question and answer. Next question and answer, someone? I don't have it in front of me, so I can't.
How does Master Shantideva address the objection that we could never learn to treat others, or ourselves and others exactly the same, since their pain does not hurt us and our pain does not hurt them?
Yeah, that's like the first reasonable objection that he preempts, right? He says, okay, what if this method of taking care of others might be a good thing, but really I can't. When Stephen doesn't get enough sleep, I'm not sleepy. Yeah? So I don't feel his pain. So why should I? He's not me. Why should I treat him like me? What's the answer that Master Shantideva offers up?
You're only thinking that way because you're grasping to yourself, and if you learn to grasp to others the way you grasp to yourself, then you would feel different.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because from this class on and from this point on, he's preempting all these things that are not natural for unexamined humans on the planet to think this way. So this is where I began last class. He's sort of leaving us a little bit. He's beginning to rise off the cushion, and we're like, I don't understand, that sounds absurd, or that. And when something sounds absurd or too simplistic, particularly in this text, but also the wisdom texts, whenever anything begins to sound too simplistic or repetitive, or we get this disconnection with it, you better pay attention, because something's going on that blocks us from understanding. You still have to use your logic, you still have to use your reasoning, you still have to use your intellect to understand it. Put it on the shelf if it doesn't work, but believe me, because when I heard these chapters, it was hard for me. It was really hard for me to get from this moment on and to get it. But I can only tell you that 17 years later, I keep returning to these things and go, oh my God, that's what they mean. And I still don't get it. And then I go, oh, that's what they mean. I still don't get it. He's going to get into that more today. So to answer that question, he says, first of all, it's sort of a choice. And more than half of the choice is forced on you by your past impulses, your past karma. The fact that you are human means you have an impulse, a karma, forcing a reality we call human onto you with certain boundaries. And just because you get those boundaries upon popping out into the world doesn't mean those boundaries exist separate to the way you conceive of them. And so part of you seeing this, your mother giving you a separate name to that person, and we even have so well formed this separateness in our world that your mum gives you a different name. That entity over there is a different name to this name. We've categorized our differences so well. This big chunk of that is the fact that we are in this realm, in this thing. And the other part is he starts flirting about it. He's sort of flexible. You get attached to your things, your identity, your name. Some people get offended if I criticize their dog, but that's not them, but they get equally hurt. Some people don't get offended when you criticize their hair. Other people go off. So the boundary of what's me and what's not me is sort of flexible. Partly you seem to have some kind of control in the now, and a big chunk of it is habituated, is what you came into this world with. Yeah. Let me go to the next one, and then we'll get to today's class. So I just want to review quickly. What was the third question on the quiz?
Give the two logical proofs that Gyaltsen designs from the root text of Master Shantideva to prove the reasonableness of compassion and love.
I don't remember the answer on the homework. Do you have it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Consider the suffering of other beings. It is right for me to remove it because it is suffering. For example, it's like my own suffering. Consider the happiness of others. It's right that I should work to achieve it because that person over there is a person. For example, it's like how I bring happiness to my own body.
Cool. Bottom line. And again, this is preempting the meditation chapter, the wisdom chapter, which is coming up. Right? He's saying it is right to remove other people's suffering, compassion, because it's suffering. You don't need any more than that. And it is right to pursue other people's happiness because it's suffering. It's happiness. You want it for you. You want happiness in your world. You don't want suffering in your world. Your experience of your world, including other people's experiences, is your experience of the world. So stamp it out. You don't need any more than that, he's saying. I didn't get this at the beginning. I didn't. It seems like a stupid argument. I don't know how it's landing in you, so I'm going to make the assumption that you want to hear more. So understand that every instance of whatever suffering you perceive in the world, like the people that are having to move their crap out of their house because the buildings are on fire down the road, and all the scrambling that they're going through and all the stress that they're going through, it's suffering. You don't need to label it mine or anyone else's. It's just suffering, and you don't want it. You want it gone. So it's right that you should want to remove it. And it's the same for happiness. You want to get happy. You want joy. You want that feeling of bliss and calmness and contentment and at ease for you. You want it. So any time that it's not there, you don't have it. So you better get to work. Generate it. Make it happen.
Just as we're earlier like apprehending the breath when we're meditating and like breaking it down, which part of it is suffering? Which part of what they're experiencing it under examination? Where is this? I get it. I know they're suffering, but like if I'm examining it and understanding where is their suffering, where is it? How do I truly help them? Abolish it.
Well, when people are the basic sufferings are the basic sufferings, right? And all the mental afflictions are suffering, and all the cycles are suffering in a nominal way. Unexamined way, you can point to suffering. People are dying, people are hurting, people are breaking up, people are losing their jobs, people are losing expectations. But we know those things. Yeah? So And it says in the guide, don't over-philosophize these sufferings. Work for them, yeah? Like remove them, the nominal ones, to the best of your ability. Always start with vegetables, right? This is to the best of your ability. And as your wisdom increases, you will be able to have this kind of in-depth experiences about what is the suffering here. And you might get a glimpse, a taste at what a Buddha might experience this realm to be like for them, which isn't suffering for them, but they understand that it is for us. Yeah. And then you work with that, if that's your capacity. But so long as you have a conception that there will be suffering, you must have the impulse and generate the bodhicitta impulse. And he's started covering one of those methods to generate bodhicitta, right? Do you remember what that was called? In the last class, I think that's the last question, right? For the quiz, is that right? Yeah. In the last class, I talked about Kelwa having the goodness or the virtue to be able to listen to these things and actually be floored by the virtue that is contained in them. I also talked about Dakshen. Do you remember? Dakshen Nyampa? No? Dakshen Nyampa. The treating one method of generating bodhicitta, which he starts covering, and then he starts addressing the objections, is Dakshen Nyampa, which is Dak, me, Shen, others, Nyampa, exactly the same. Treat others and me exactly the same. So if you want to try and get your mind into a state of bodhicitta, he said, make this an experiment, make this a practice. You and them exactly the same, not a little bit the same. Yeah. So if there's someone wanting happiness there, it's as valid and as necessary as me getting my latte. Yeah. If there's suffering over there, it's as valid to remove, as valid, yeah, exactly the same as I don't like my bad feeling.
How do you keep it at vegetables if you're
Yeah. Well, we'll get to it. You know, like the Buddha said, do not do anything beyond your capacity, right? You are prohibited to do anything beyond what you're capable of doing, you know. And at the same time, you must strive to do everything, right? And you start wherever you are. And you can attest to this, you're bodybuilder thingy. Anyone that's not fat can attest to this. No, that's done any exercise, not me. You see those people that can lift God knows how much weight in those weightlifting things, yeah? So let's say Hector with his gut wants to go and lift the highest, heaviest weight can possibly be had by a human, within a human limit, yeah? I want to lift that thing. I go there right now, I will break my body. It will not work. And I will be unable to lift weights for probably the rest of my life. If I really went over there and tried my hardest to lift that thing, I'd either be crushed by it, I'd be damaged permanently by it, certainly scarred by the experience, yeah? And therefore unable to begin to lift weights in a proper way. So it's no different. It's begin at your capacity and then have the drive to begin to improve. You should have the thought. You begin, there are all these methods, right? There are all these methods. One example, when you're practicing this kind of bodhicitta, which he'll get into a reverse argument, which what I'm going to give you now, he'll give you a reverse argument in a second, but when you're practicing bodhicitta, let's say treating others exactly like yourself, yeah? You already sort of do this by thinking that the Nick of tomorrow morning would be really happy if you got enough rest tonight, right? So you're going to go make sure to rest that body for the Nick in the morning, which is a very different Nick to this Nick. He's not even here. He doesn't exist yet. And so we go ahead and do all our activity to try and deliver that future me some benefit. We do it all the time. That's what our life is for. We do it so self-centered. So that's a good place to start because we have that habit already. Try and see if you can preempt your anger, your unhappiness, and solve it before it arrives. The same for your joys. Know that you can create some kind of joy for the future you. Yeah? And that's a good beginning. And then extend it to people you love, people you like, people you favor, because that's a natural second choice. So then help your parents and your friends and your family and whatever. That's also pretty much what we do. But to do it selflessly, to treat them exactly like me, that's a little harder. But that's a good place to start. And then you can do it with your mind without actually having to do anything mentally, physically. You can, and I highly guarantee it, New York City is the best place for this. You will meet people from every culture, every race, every orientation, every smell type, everything in the subway. You said in your TED talk, I believe you did a TEDx talk. Oh, congratulations, Nick.
I tried to watch it today and it wouldn't start. It wouldn't load.
Yes, I tried to sabotage it so people would watch mine.
Oh, okay.
Great segue. The fact that you gave a great TED talk on Saturday.
Cool. But in your TED talk, you said the subway is a great equalizer. And that's one of the most beautiful things I heard about the subway. Everybody is equal down there in the tunnels underneath Manhattan. You don't know where they work, and you don't know what they do for a living. You don't know whether they just had a big fight, or they could be executives, they could be homeless. We're all the same down there. And so the subway is a perfect place to practice your mental, everybody's happiness is exactly the same, and it doesn't cost you anything. So you could be sitting across somebody on the train, looking at them and trying to perceive what it is that they are hoping for and avoiding. Everyone wants those two things, right? They're avoiding something that will hurt them, and they're going towards something that they want. And you can try and make up this idea in your mind because of what you're watching them do, like the mother struggling with a kid, or the guy trying to read with the other guy clipping his toenails next to him, or whatever it is. And then with your mind, you make it so. You just make it happen for them with your mind. And you begin there, and you enjoy that. And you build the muscle, like lifting up small weights, and you build the muscle. And then, so it's a long answer to your question, Emily, but you begin at your capacity, but you must also have the drive and commitment to say, next week I'm going to do a bit more. This week I'm going to do this, but next week I'm going to see if I can go to giving someone a break. Yeah? So James in Nepal, a friend in Nepal, he grabs a whole bunch of cash at the beginning of the day, he puts it in one of his pockets, and he says, this money is going away today to the right people, whoever it is. And when he's out, he's finished. No more, no stress, no guilt trip. That's it. This is my giveaway money. The other pocket is for the other stuff. But this pocket, I'll empty it before the end of the day. So maybe you make that pocket a bit bigger each day. Yeah? Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite things to do is when I find money in my pocket, immediately I give it to someone. Because I didn't even know it existed
when you didn't
anyway.
Know. Nice.
You know?
That's awesome.
It's like, oh, a gift to give.
Beautiful. So that was last week. Treating others exactly the same. Make sure to do it.
There's another answer, another chapter, Shantideva. He says, why my right hand should heal my left hand when my left hand is wounded, because they are two separate hands.
True.
And
it's coming today, so don't destroy me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's really terrible. I'm not teaching it now. No, that's awesome that you remember that. That's perfect. Yeah, and that's exactly a beautiful argument. Yeah, about our family as our human family as an entity. Yeah, and it's perfect that you remember it today. Yeah. Okay. Are we ready? Who's doing the reading? Nick, do you have reading material? Do we have a David? David's not existent.
I think my phone's charging.
Can you do the reading? Yeah. We are up to reading 19.
Do you know the page in the reading?
I do not, but look up class 9, and while you do that, it's the first reading. Nick, can you show him how they are chaptered up?
Hang on. I need to get him on his computer already.
While I do that, so based on on the quiz, you know, in the previous class where we began the practice of treating yourself and others exactly the same, he'll continue with that this class, and then before the end of the class we'll flip over to the second method of generating bodhicitta, which is slightly different to treating others and me exactly the same. But in treating others and me exactly the same, we had the objection, the natural objection, which was I can't feel other people's pain. And his answer was what you had in the quiz. It's flexible and you can build on it, like building up the weight. You can build to expand. Contemplation 19, being beyond oneself.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we start though, I asked you last week, go out and practice on the subway. Did anybody try? Sarah, tell me about the experience. Tell us about the experience while Paul puts on the fan.
Yeah. A lot of times I would kind of forget first, and then I would be thinking about it, and it was more like this would be such a beautiful thing. What do I do? What would I do? And then, I don't know, I feel like I just, like, okay, well then I just won't even sit, or, cause if I sit, then I don't know, do I get up, do I not, I don't know, it's like, it's hard.
Okay, what was hard about it? What was the resistance? This is it, this is what it should be like. It should be rubber meets a road, we have to try these things and then find out what comes up for us.
The resistance is like, okay, I should be remembering this, but I don't know what to do, and it's too hard, and like they aren't doing this for me.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, good. No, that's natural. That's good. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I did a weird thing yesterday on the
Again.
train. So most of you know I work with homeless people. It's my job, and so I have this weird ambivalence when it comes to people begging on the train, because like we tell people you can't panhandle when they're in the shelter and whatever. So I said no to this guy, and we were riding and we're like face to face, and usually when I say no to people it's because I think they're going to buy drugs, and then I kind of ignore them, but I made eye contact with him the whole time. And I was like, I think this guy, like, I was like, I don't really know what he wants, and I don't feel certain, so I'm just gonna have this moment with him. And we ended up having this weird conversation, and I actually gave him directions. He would have gotten off at the wrong stop if I had just handed him money and turned away, because he didn't realize the train was going express. So I guess maybe, like, I don't know, I didn't know what to do, but I knew I wanted to kind of investigate it, and that helped. So
That's cool.
That was cool.
Anyone else? I want to hear it. It's really important. The play in the train to treat other people like you would treat yourself.
I always make a meditation in the subway where I pull all the dark energy from people and I replace it with light.
Nice.
Everyone in the wagon, all the time I'm like...
That's perfect. No, that's perfect. And that's a really nice way to do it. Great. Nice.
I didn't... Oh, you go.
You want to talk also, Rachel?
You can talk at the same time.
Oh, Stephen.
Stephen. For me, it's just I see myself and I give sometimes. I try to first give it with my right hand. A lot of time I find myself like running and then kind of stopping and giving with my left hand. And I try to train myself to give with my right hand and to look in the eyes when I give it. Because I find myself a lot of time kind of trying to avoid just doing it and running off. And like the thing of looking at them as they are Buddhas and they actually come from me maybe to teach me and train me, and I'm not superior, and it's not something kind of painful or kind of not pleasant I want to get rid of, but really just follow that. So subconsciously I always see that my body reacts that way, so I try again and again, something really annoying. Somehow always like either they come from my left side or anyway, so
I like that you said that. I like that you use different part of your body to trigger a different experience. I particularly like that you're aware of the discomfort and then you do something to change it. That if you remember the karma course, the stronger the karma, the karma is strongest if the object to which you're interacting, the way you are conceiving of the object, is a heightened object. Yeah, so if it really was, let's say the homeless person was just the Dalai Lama disguised. He was just going in the subway to see who's actually practicing bodhicitta, right? If you tricked yourself to think that, not kidding, yeah? If you tricked yourself to thinking that, and you could really trick yourself to the point where you almost believed it, yeah? The way you gave that person help, directions, or chose not to give them money because you thought it was the best thing, both are good karmas, both are good actions of mind, motivated by great intentions within your capacity. So by thinking of them as Buddhas, by conceiving of them as something else, you're just generated a powerhouse of karma, an imprint that is stronger than the normal everyday impulses you generate in your mind, which means they get priority departure lounge on the executive lounge at the karma airport, right? They'll get off first, yeah, and it's not just a crappy Nepali 12-seater, but it's a, what is the Airbus 360? It's a big heavy karma, right? Which means it will leave much more of an imprint and lag and impression upon where it's taken off and through where it's flying. And it can take much more content through, yeah, like an Airbus 360.
One observation that comes to me now, that it really make a big difference, the preparation. Like, let's say I didn't prepare to give today, or I didn't prepare money before, and then I see this homeless guy on the street and it's, oh, what about it? And
yep.
I have to find, I don't have enough money, so I feel guilty. Or if I find it, it's like always like about it because it stopped me and I wanted to go somewhere. However, if I prepare the money before and I see it, I'm rejoicing that I have this money to give.
Excited, yeah, excellent.
And it's part of the plan. It's not like breaking the plan and it changes all state.
Yeah, I remember Ken Rinpoche when we were learning this stuff in the 90s. He would get a ton of offerings all the time. People offer him all sorts of stuff, and he would just put it away and put it away. Like, he hardly ever used any money for himself. Yeah, his food bill was next to nothing. Put it away, and then when the bank account was big enough, like chunky, like tens of thousands of dollars, he'd blow it all up in one deliberate karma to build a building for Saramay or feed everybody for 2 years. Or like, he'd be, you just watch the high lamas, those old lamas, and they would just build the karma around it, build the thinking around it. As the money was put together, he wouldn't just go throw it away as it came because people asked or whatever. He was naturally building the result of what he was going to do with that karma. And then when the time was right, when his motivation was clear, and he'd just go, poof, and it'd be a massive impact. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed, I wasn't at class last week, but so I travel north to the Bronx, and there's a lot of single moms with their babies in their carriages. And you have to go up the stairs and down the stairs and all of that. So I always kind of look out for people that I can help them carry their little kid in their carriage. But I find myself so now I'm like super aware of it, but then I notice other people aren't aware of it. And maybe it's a little bit of what you were talking about. Like there would be like a, able-bodied young man who's just sitting down while,
yeah.
And then so I have this like good intention of wanting to help this woman, but then this like bad karma of like totally judging.
Yeah, cool.
This other person.
So what do you do with that?
I recognize that it's happening,
yeah.
And then I try to do a little corrective, like unless you're the Buddha, don't judge anyone.
Yeah, cool.
All of that, but it's still,
yeah.
It's like it's a prana that comes up because it's flavored with, like, I won't say anger, but like
no, whatever it is, it's the judge. It's a negative. It's a negative impression, and it's I think everyone has some of that, and I have that a lot. And I do a kind of let me show you. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. So let me show you.
But without pride.
Yeah. Let me show you so you can get the hint. So And I imagine that when I go away, they're going to do it at the next train because they're too shy to do it now or something. They've noticed it, and so I change it that way in my mind. Sorry, Patrick, you were going to say?
Yeah, I've had a thing for a while now because my eyes are very addicted to beauty. And
that's why you keep looking at the front.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
And so I normally, when I sit on a subway or something, my eyes drift to the most beautiful object. And so I noticed that, and then I was like, what else can I do? And I started looking for the most invisible person.
Ah, that's awesome.
You know, not necessarily the most ugly, but the most invisible, the one that looked like, you know, and I would just sort of sit there and send love. You know, how can I love this person?
That's stunning. I love that, Patrick. Thank you for sharing that.
I met up with David yesterday, and I was telling him the exact same thing about how when I'm out and stuff, I'll do the same thing. I'll look at, you know, whether it's people or whatever it is. And lately, the past couple of weeks, I've been forcing myself to look for people who I normally wouldn't be attracted to, or whatever, in whatever form, fashion, whatever it is, you know, and focus on that, you know, to expand, because, you know, I have like my window is like this.
We do.
You know, and I need to expand it more.
Yeah.
But there's one thing that happens when, I remember I had a wild time when all the suffering became apparent and all the problems of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it got so frustrating because my mind was trying to solve everything at the same time that it got into like kind of overheated. Because it's like if you continuously focus on all the bad shit around you, you kind of get into this, you have to stop.
So I have two answers for that, yeah. I think one of the first times I had, all I can call it is when you get onto the boat of bodhicitta and you're flowing with this boat of, oh my goodness, this feels good. And then you actually see the suffering, it burns. And I recoiled. And it took a long time for me to open up again. Yeah? And then you go down the boat and you recoil. And you can shrink that response thing. And I think that the thing that helps is to know that when I am recoiling, where I am perceiving suffering as something unbearable and unstoppable and all-encompassing, I am not thinking of it with wisdom. I am thinking of it as self-existent. I am thinking of it as out there, separate from causes and conditions that can actually finish it. Yeah? And the more I understand that, that's why two things are vital. One is the understanding of emptiness, the understanding, the wisdom that shows every single experience, everything is caused by our projections, yeah, ultimately. Therefore, you can change the imprints in your mind and not perceive it in that way. Whenever I feel stress or anger or it's impossible, I am grasping to that something being separate from me, and therefore I cannot change it, and that's unbearable because you can't change it if it's out there. And so for me now, when I get that recoiling, I'm beginning to train my mind to instantly go to the wisdom side. The second part of it is that requires an incredible amount of concentration. To be able to do that in the midst of a storm of recoiling and or suffering all around, the practice of meditative concentration, your capacity to hold an object in your mind despite the distraction is why we do the exercise of meditating in the first place. So if you can then bring your mind to as close to shamatha as you can, or as close to single point of concentration as you can, the more you have that habit, then when the recoil comes, your mind can be on it and it's unshakable. Yeah, so the two things, wisdom and concentration, both of them have helped me not recoil like I did the very first time. The first time it was like I was burnt with a hose, with a fire hose, and I didn't want to go out for a long time.
This is why I came here.
Yeah. But those two practices to your level, whatever it is, keep digging. Those two will serve you up. If you're suffering because of perceiving suffering, you're perceiving suffering in the wrong way.
I just spoke about that today with a student that came from meditation. She was going through a lot and doing the same thing of constantly thinking in her mind of all of the ways that she was perceiving things and recognizing that she was just driving herself nuts. And I said, it was really important that you had the two wings, wisdom and compassion. Of recognizing, and she needed to give compassion to herself, but also in giving compassion to other people.
Awesome.
Especially with what just happened outside.
Yeah.
So, and after that, as soon as I saw suffering, I thought, may you be happy, may you be peaceful.
Why are the fans off? I'm suffering.
I don't know why they keep going on.
Do they keep going? Just
put it up one notch, Paul.
I'd just like to mention another practice I do on the subway.
Yep.
When I have an unanswered question, I think everyone is the Buddha on the subway, and I want the answer right now from my teacher. It will be a word that someone will say,
nice.
Something written on a book, someone will start to sing. I'm just looking everyone, I say, I want the answer from you Buddhas.
Yeah. All these things are you training your mind. Please keep doing all of them. They are fantastic. These classes are not to sit here and go, oh, that's interesting. It's to do that. Yeah, if you're not doing that, then you're just gathering knowledge for no reason, because it's the point of it is to put it into practice. Stretch yourself, keep lifting those weights. Let's start class. Nick, are you ready? These words come from Master Shantideva, 700 AD. 1300 years ago, this chapter was spoken in a place called Nalanda University in ancient India. Well, it was like Alexandria of the time. And this particular chapter, and the one that's coming, has baffled people for 1300 years because it's getting deeper and deeper. So imagine Master Shantideva saying these words.
Suppose you say that the reason why you don't protect them is that their pain doesn't hurt you. Why then do you protect yourself from future pain, since it doesn't do hurt to you either? Your idea that you do so because you think to yourself that you will have to experience it is all wrong. Because the person who has already died is one person, and the one who's taken birth is another altogether. And suppose that any particular pain were only something a particular one had to care about. If this were the case, that a pain in the foot would be nothing for the hand, why then does it care? Suppose you say that although that's wrong, you engage in this case due to the fact that you hold on to a self. This self and other, though, are very wrong, and nothing but something you should reject with all the strength you have.
So Master Shantideva is getting a little deeper at the objection of I can't feel others' pain. So he's going to start slashing us with a sledgehammer, right? In that first one that he says, suppose you're not, suppose you say that the reason why I don't protect them is that I can't feel their pain. Then he says, okay, let's take your logic, you're Mr. Logical, perfect, I agree with you, let's agree with you. With that logic, you should not take care of your future self because they're not here. They're an other compared to you right now. The you that you're saving your 401k for, they're not here. Emily is more here than your 20-year person from now. So, why not just give her the money now? She's here. Yeah? Your other one doesn't even exist. So he's like, don't give me that argument unless you're going to be true to your argument. If you're going to be true to your logic, that me and them are separate, then be really true to your logic. The future you is separate to you. He then says about future lives. He says this because he's talking to Buddhists, right? This person you're building all good karma for, the one that you're building this goodness for, they don't exist. Why are you doing it for them? They're not here, right? So he says you're a little crazy. So your tomorrow's person doesn't exist. Then he says, in the commentary they explain it's 3 arguments. The you from later today doesn't exist. The you in old age doesn't exist in that way. And your future life you doesn't exist either. So it stands to logic then that you can't feel their pain. There's no way you can feel your breaking bones when you're 60 and 70 and 80. So why are you working so hard to protect those bones? Using your argument, I can't feel that other person's pain, doesn't stand for the way you're living your life now, he says. It's pretty strong, right? He's like, don't use that logic on me, because if you do, I'll throw it back at you, and then you can't continue to function the way you're functioning, because that argument doesn't work. He then says, your idea of that you do so because you think yourself that you will have to experience it in the future. So you say, well, I know that if I don't save up, I'm going to starve, not Emily, right? So he says, well, that's sort of wrong too. Because you think you're the stream, the person that died, the continuum that died in the previous life that ended up giving you all the awesome karma that you're experiencing that's not you. You're not them. And neither will that future one be. So that's that argument. And suppose that in any particular pain, where only something a particular one had to care about, this were the case in the pain of the foot would. So he says, if you're going to do that, and say, well, it's my continuum, it's my body, my future me is the same as the current me. You could say then, why doesn't the foot feel the hand feel the itch of the foot? It's still one continuum, but it isn't, right? So he's using your argument against you. Let's go to the second reading, which is after giving you the argument that you're not your immediate future self, your long-term future self, or your future life yourself, then you can't logically use the argument of, I don't feel other people's pains, that's why I don't take care of them. Because that's you choosing a boundary. You get that? Just, if not, cook it, okay? And then go to number 20. We are only what we control. Are we only what we control?
The things we call a continuum and a collection are unreal. They're like a string of things, or an army. That of one with suffering doesn't exist at all. So who is he that could ever control it? Since the one who owns a pain does not exist, there can be no distinctions among them any. If something is a kind of pain, then it's something to remove. What use is saying that it's fixed here? You can't continue your argument of asking why the pains of all are something you must stop. If you're going to stop it, then you must stop all of it. If not, then mind's like other beings.
It's funny because at the end he sort of gets a little upset. He's like, okay, agree already. You can't keep having this argument that I'm refuting for you. He's like, admit already that all pain is pain and you just got to remove it. Yeah?
What was the last line?
The last line, if you must stop it, if you must stop all of it. No, if you're going to stop it, then you must stop all of it. If not, then mind's like other beings. If not, mind's like other beings.
What does that mean, dude?
Then my pain is like other beings' pains. He's saying, don't just get focused on fixing your own depression. Other people's depression is as valid as your own depression because it's depression. Because you don't want it. You don't want it for you. Mine's exactly the same as theirs. Mind's like theirs.
Oh, it's mind is like other beings?
No, mine.
R-M-I-N-E.
Mine is.
Yeah,
mine is.
And mine. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's why it's called Dalam, right? Dalam meaning the easy path. Because he's saying, look, if you're going to try and think of the suffering as out there self-existently, then it does seem impossible. It seems difficult and whatever. If you're going to remove all of the pain, all of it, this is the easy path. This is Dalam. Because you're actually extending yourself to mine is like all others. I am all others. And then I continue selfishly looking after myself. It's just over there and over there and over there and over there. It's not like I have to make all this effort and have to think about it. Do one quick mind flip. I am everybody. Trigger that. Remember, that's just a stretchable boundary. Yeah? Do some work to get that boundary. Once you've stretched that boundary, it becomes Dalam. Easily. Like the easy path. Yeah?
In the same way, though, that like if I in my own self am experiencing a pain and I don't know how to remedy it, like sometimes I just let it be for a little bit. And so in that way, like, wouldn't it be just as valid to have that occur with someone outside of you? Like if the perception is still locked in that way is what I mean. Like when you're talking about like being confronted with someone who you think is in pain but you don't really know what to do.
Sometimes you do that for yourself and you like relax around it, and sometimes when you relax it actually you can figure out what to do.
Right.
Or you just let it pass and watch it pass. Yeah? Let me give you the commentary for that part and then we'll take a quick break. Okay, he's saying, where was it? There are things we call a continuum. He says if you didn't like the argument that you're taking care of your own unseen future pain in the previous paragraph, he said, the you of tomorrow, you're saving up for them, you're taking care of them even though you don't feel their pain, right? You're saying you are some kind of continuum, yeah? I won't feel her poverty if I don't save my savings, right? I'll feel my poverty, right? Does that make sense? If you think, well, you're this continuum, he says, well, you're not really, that's a fake. And here he begins to slide away. So you have to understand the concept of Sokpa, which is a collection. Sokpa, it's a collection over a space, and that's where he refers to, it's like an army. Yeah, what does he say, like an army?
A string of things or an army.
Yeah, so here Master Shantideva is going to give us two arguments to say we are not this thing that you think I am Hector at 20, at 30 and 40, that's why I'm saving for him. That's why I'm trying to take care of him. Because I'm going to be Hector at 50 and 60, right? He says that's crap. Because the identity is not fixed. And you've got to understand this idea of Tsokpa, which is a collection of parts, right? So it's just like you think this is a pair of scissors because it's got that part which is a handle and that part and this part which is the chopping part, right? So it's got handle. When you're trying to conceive of it, it's just scissors from its own side. You know this argument from the pen, right? And this is where you have to get deep into the understanding of karma and emptiness, right? Is this scissors from its own side here, scissors? No? But what is it for you? Scissors. Why is it scissors for you? Some of us learned it, but it really functions like scissors, right? And we've learned scissors, and it really is scissors, isn't it? Like you really do think it's scissors. It's not like you think it's a camel, right? It's scissors, right? So it is scissors. Is it only scissors?
No.
How do you know that? How do you know that? Do you know that perceptually? Are you having an experience right now that this is not only scissors? No, I'm not, unless you're a Buddha. You are? I'll throw the scissors at you, they become flowers. No. Then you didn't perceive them as flowers, you perceived them as scissors if you didn't want them thrown at you. So what I'm saying is, we are forced to see these as scissors. They are scissors. Functionally, they're scissors for us. Yeah. Now, you invite a camel and a dog and another creature or an Eskimo and you ask them, what is that? We all know it's scissors. It's just a test to see if they're stupid, right? No. Do they have the same conception you have of scissors? No. Can you teach an Eskimo what scissors are? Yes. And then you would say their karma changed from not having to having, right? Can you teach a camel that these are scissors?
Kind of.
Depends on how many toes they've got, right? If you put this item here that we are forced to experience as scissors, and all the humans walked out of the room, and all the camels and Eskimos walked out of the room, and the room was completely vacant, what is this? At that time, what is it?
Nothing. Everything.
It could be everything, right? And it's nothing. When a camel comes in, is it scissors?
Though, if it's the camel that you train.
If it's a camel that trained, it could be scissors. Right? Now, you've got to think about that over and over and over and over and over again, because if you understand that, then he's saying, you think you're Nick from 20 and 30 and 40 and 50 and 60? That's just like that. It's just forced upon you through your conception of yourself. It's just a habit. But you can't escape it. It really is scissors. For me. That was produced. That is produced by the human projection onto this object. Nick is produced by the projection of Nick onto Nick. The continuum of Nick being Nick, or Nickness, is the same as this. It doesn't have that nature from its own side. The continuum, or the tsokpa, the collection of parts, is not a Nick from its own side. The collection of you as an identity, as a being that will be here at 40 and 50 and 60, is just the same. It functions, yes, like scissors function, but it's not like that by itself. That's impossible, he says. So you got to understand that one. That's tsokpa. That's a collection of parts. Okay. He's and that's why he says it's unreal. It's a fake. It's not true. And then and that's an illusion. So the metaphor he uses for that, just in case it's in the homework, is it's like an army. Yeah. You look at a whole collection of people over there. There's infantry and cavalry and whatever. You say there's an army. Is that army? When you see all those groups of people together with equipment, do you call them an army? You do because you've learned it, right? We do because we've learned it. If an extraterrestrial came over there and saw that collection of people over there, will they say, there's the American army? No. And what does that prove? That proves that there's nothing radiating from that collection, that tsokpa, that is informing everybody, I'm an army, I'm an army, I'm an army, I'm an army. If it was, every single thing, everything must perceive that as army. The fact that one being doesn't proves that is not army. From its own side, pushing army onto us. Just like you are not Nick, the way you conceive of Nick, from your own side, to yourself. Just like Jenna is not Jenna, the way Jenna thinks she is to herself. This is the selflessness of self. Yeah? The way you think you are a continuum, he says Zumba, which Zumba means fake. It's an illusion. It's not true. You're hypnotized by habituation. It's crap. There is no such permanent, staying, fixed Emily like that.
But if someone could explain what an army is in a couple of sentences to the other
Yeah.
group, and they instantly, then it transforms.
Then their karma changed, no problem.
But
Like
they
the Eskimo learning scissors.
But they didn't create any new karma within the 30 seconds. That it's
No, but why didn't they have the karma before? It does not create it instantly. Why can't their karma rise? I mean, are you experiencing only the karma that you did the millisecond before? No. Karma doesn't work that way. Karma is the airline, the airport. Yeah? If you understand that the karma shifted, how do you know the karma shifted? The perception shifted. This is a completely inside-out way of looking at it. You've got to try. Okay, you've got to, because if you don't, you'll be stuck in this self-existent limbo world, and it's a shit place to be, because we live in self-existent normal humanity. We know how that goes. You learn a little bit of this stuff. You're beginning to climb the ladder of internalizing and understanding these two fundamental concepts, karma and emptiness, yeah, which is everything. Forget Buddhas. Karma and emptiness is how you make Buddhas. Yeah? This is how you transform your experience, identity of self into something other than self. Otherwise, you're just going to be schmucky human forever, suffering and doing all the things human conception does. Human. So begin climbing the ladder of understanding, and then you gotta, against gravity, keep going up until you see all of the way you looked at the world completely upside down and inside out. It still functions that way, but you're looking at it from a different perspective. And all I know to keep that going is to keep studying despite yourself. That's the only answer, true answer I can give you. And doing the experiments in the subway and so on until your shelf is overloaded with uncertainty that you are beginning to break down and figure out, or you've had a realization that it doesn't work that way. What this is doing, it's saying whatever you're looking at the world through, it's not that way. And the connection between all the teachings will lead you to realizing for yourself, not because the teachings are right, not because the Buddha taught it, not because it's sat in cultural Tibet, not because some dude with a nice bump on the head did anything, not because of any of those stupid reasons, not because it's religion, not because of anything other than your world is being experienced through your mind in a way that was produced. It doesn't have to be this way. And if you get to the core of that, you can uncover how that production came about. And when you get a glimpse of one of those, it's just like honey to bear, or whatever it is. It's like, what's the metaphor? Something to a... I don't want to use the fly to shit to fly anymore.
White on rice.
Huh?
White on rice.
Something like that. It's like, I've lost the metaphor. You get what I mean, yeah? Once you get a taste of one of it, it colors everything. And then you can't wait but get more and more and more. But you need to get a realization. You need to get a moment of truth for yourself. And you're only going to do it if you play with it deeply, despite yourself, despite your habituation. When you do, I promise, the whole thing will be like someone shook a blanket and you saw underneath the possibility to transform everything. Yeah? Honest. Yeah?
The sun mandala's been coming up a lot this whole week, but yesterday when I was on the subway doing subway meditation, I realized that every moment, every millisecond of what I looked at was a mandala and wiped away and the same.
Come and go, come and go.
Yeah,
nice.
Fascinating to watch. Right now.
Patrick?
Yeah, I ran into Buddhism quite a few years ago now, and I had a couple of insights. But when you say this thing like, you know, me 20 years, me 30 years, me 40 years, me 50 years, right? So I ran into it right before 30 and I'm 50 now. And I'm stunned at that some parts have been transformed and I can see clearly and others are just so stuck.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how can this not have
shifted
at all?
Yeah.
You know, it's just the same fucking selfishness.
Yeah. If you've been loading up the courses to change it, believe me, it'll tumble down like the Twin Towers did. Okay, if you've been doing the right undermining to some self-existent.
That's what I'm doubting if I have been, because it's so stuck.
Well, in some areas it might have worked. In others, we trick ourselves. I don't know. Let me give you one more concept, because this is his refutation that we are a collection of parts in space, like an army, right? The next part is, and he says that's Zun, that's fake. The next one is, say, Gyu. That's me in a stream. That's me in a stream. Yeah, Gyu, the collection of me in a stream, is the same argument. It's crap. He says it's like a rosemary bead. It's like a rosemary. Yeah, a rosary.
Same thing.
As a rosary. Yeah, we think this stream of things is a rosary. Yeah, because it's got one bead and another bead and another bead. But when you're ever at one bead, the 20-year-old bead is gone. It's not even here anymore. How can you call it yourself? It's gone. The 30, 40-year-old bead hasn't come yet. You're only at that one bead. And yet we call the whole thing a rosary. We call the whole thing my lifetime. We call the whole thing my thing. The guy that died, or the person that died to leave you all the good karma, if you understood that from ACI 4, they're not here. How can you say that was you? You don't even remember them. Yeah? I barely remember my identity. And people come up to me from school, from high school, and says, "You've changed so much, Hector. You used to be so funny."
You're naturally funny.
No. But they come up to me with conceptions of me that I remember, oh, I was selfish, or I was this way, or I was that way. And it's like they're telling me a new story, and it's not until they tell me the story that I'm surprised. Oh, that's right, I did do that. And I was embarrassed for the 20-year-old me, you know? I'm like, oh, that was me. What a selfish bastard. But I'd forgotten it. You're not the stream either. It's the same as the karma and emptiness. We keep at this moment in the one bead that we call a rosary, we keep thinking, I'm a whole rosary, but you're not. You're only ever a moment at a time, And you think you're this kind of rosary, and you think you're this kind of rosary when you're going over the bead.
Then why do we spend any time
Good.
at all talking about past lives and future lives?
Great, good call. He's going to answer that soon.
Well, I was going to
He's setting you up.
I'm as much my 20 as I am my now.
Right now you are.
No. My now is not now.
Say what you mean.
Look,
I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, I'm on the rosary of my age right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not 15 years ago or 15 years from. And I'm suggesting that just as those are not me, now
This
it's
is
not me anymore.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
So I am just as much, in other words, I'm not 20 years early, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's important because it, well,
Cool.
basically it's
Take a 10-minute
less.
break. After 10-minute break, come back at 9:15 and we'll do more than half the class, right? But I hope you're getting the